Yes, sir.
And shall we go disperse? Close the door. Problem. Both here and Airtel. Problem. Coming to the next part is that internet problem. Stream. Hello. Hey, Ganesh.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Yeah, okay. And the next part is that is earlier we talked about the proposed state stratified random sampling, and now this proposed state stratified random sampling technique. Here the sampling distribution. Coming to next. Hello. Hello. ಲ್ಯಾಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆಯಾ?
ಕೇಳಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ
ಕೆಲವಣ ಲ್ಯಾಗ್ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ. ಓಕೆ, ಶಾಲ ನೆಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಬ್ಲಮ್.
ಸರ್ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಸರ್.
ಓಕೆ, hello. Okay. And this is another table is the shown here. Another table is shown here. We the sampling, and now this purpose thing random sampling technique. Here the
you can continue, sir. It's audible.
Hello. Sir,
it's audible, sir. Sorry, audible, sir.
Hello, ನಿಮ್ದು ಮೈಕ್ ಅವರು ಇದು ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋ, ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ, ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಹೇಳೋರಿಗೆ, because there is a disturbance.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
ಬೇಕಾ ಅವ್ರು ಮಾತಾಡೋದೆಲ್ಲ ಡಿಸ್ಟರ್ಬ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ ಮಾತಾಡಕ್ಕೆ. ಮಕ್ಕಳು
ಅನ್ಮ್ಯೂಟ್ ಇದೆ ಸರ್. Okay, sir.
Okay. And the other time again it has gone now, and it is 11:52. This proposed stratified random sampling technique, the one table is being given here. We had, as you have seen in the earlier, the table that the proposed stratified sampling, the technique which you applied, and what would be the, the table, and how the proportion of employees will come there, and what would be the sample breakup and the population breakup is there. And similar thing is there in that. And here you can see that student can see that table, you can understand the table, how it is, put into the managers, supervisors and workers, and what would be the population, and how you can, see the breakup of this, the population, and the proportion of employees are going to be selected. So this is one thing. Next part, you please go. So cluster sampling, the method, and sampling in which elements are selected in 2 or more stages, and with the first stage being the random selection of naturally occurring clusters, and the last stage being the random selection of elements within the clusters. The first part is that the natural occurring clusters, and the second part is that random selection of elements within the clusters. So this is the 2 important things, stages being steps you have to, the one has to keep in mind while selecting the samples. Next one, please. So here, this is for the understanding the different stages, the how cluster sampling is the used in your research. Say for example, this is an example, the Gandhian values among youth of Bangalore city. This is a title of your research, and the population of the Bangalore may be around 1,50,00,000, and your sample size is going to be 384. And the cluster sampling, what is the procedure of selecting this? Because 1 crore 50 lakh population, 384 samples you have selected, and to know the how the youths are inculcating or practicing the values of Mahatma Gandhiji in Bangalore city. And the first stage, what we are doing is that selection of 5 wards, because there may be around 50 or 60 or 100 wards will be there in Bangalore city, and selection of 5 wards out of 30 wards of the municipality or the municipality randomly. And the second stage is that selection of 1,000 households from selected the wards of that particular corporation area. And the third stage, what we are expected to do is that the selection of 384 youth randomly from 1,000 households, because 1 crore 50 lakh population, 384 your sample size. You want to know the values among the youth of Bangalore city, and this is a procedure what you are supposed to adopt to select the 384 samples from 30 wards out of the 1,000 households and 384 youths. Okay, next one. The most important part on the researchers or the research scholars is that, and how to select the sample units from the given population. These things are very much available in most of the research books, that is Tippett random numbers, lottery method, and sequential list. So this is the either the selection procedure of the unit of sample from a given population. Okay, next one. So this is the Tippett's random number table available in the most of the methodology book. And if you can see the Professor D.K. Lalda's book also, it is very much the written. And this is the an example is being given on that particular the random numbers, how Tippett random numbers you can pick up the sample or select the sample from the population as such. So this is the an example, and the now the probability sampling, and the next one is that the non-probability sampling technique. Here the accidental or convenient sampling technique, or quota sampling technique, or purposive or judgmental or snowball sampling. So these are the different, again, the types under the non-probability sampling method. Okay, next one. Saravana, please. Problem of internet again. Here it is. Okay. This is the determination of sample. The common misconceptions is that the sample should be a proportion, often 5 or 10% of the population, and the sample should total about the 500. Any increase in the sample size will increase the precision of the sample results, and no such rule of thumb method is adequate. So this is the thing one has to keep in mind about the common misconception of determination of sample, of size of sample. Okay, next one. Determination of sample size calculator, and the Gregis and Morgan table. So these things are available very much in the internet also, and in the methodology book also. You can see the determination of sample size. These are the things most of the scholars are using across the the universities and the research institutions. Okay. Okay, this is the table, the formula which is being given here. how this formula used by Krejcik and Morgan about the sample size, about the chi-square, about the population and the population characteristics and its proportions and permissible error, standard error. So this is, the formula is being given. Basing on this only one will select. But these days, recently I have prepared some, the PPTs on the, it is still, the very simple manner and easy manner. The computer, the itself, there are many standard, the what you can say that the application of statistical techniques are designed by the American, the software, the research scholars, and those things are available. And those things we'll discuss later. This is a formula used by Krejcik and Morgan. Okay, next one. Yeah, table determining the sample size from a given population. This is an example is being given here. The population and the sample size. These are the things what you can see here. And okay. In practice, the decision concerning the sample size are more complicated, and researchers have to decide how precise they want the sample results to be, and that is how large a standard error they can tolerate. The second thing is that the decision on a sample size is also governed by the way bivariate or trivariate the results are to be analyzed. So this is the practice. Okay. If more than one variable is to be studied, a sample that is adequate for one variable may be unsatisfactory for another variable. In order to use a formula, one needs an estimate of population standard deviation, or that we call it as standard deviation. The meaning is the standard error, which leads only to a rough estimate of the required sample size. So this is about the size of the sample. Please go ahead next. Saravana. Okay, you go ahead next.
This is the last one.
No, you
Okay,
go next.
okay, sir. Okay, sir. 1 second, sir. I will put in that.
They are waiting, time is very short. And we
Okay,
will do
okay,
it more. Physical interaction is, we'll do it sometime. Once if it is limited,
Yes, sir.
Yes, yeah. Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes. So you can give
Yeah,
introduction,
for,
sir. Before that,
tools,
I will.
Tools, you go for tools.
Can that.
थोड़ा जल्दी से आपको करना, नहीं तो टाइम बहुत ये हो जाए.
Yes, it's opening, sir. Opening.
Okay. But we are in the, the problem of, the internet. 3G,
Internet.
4G, 5G, all G's are not working here. It is always disturbing. Sachin is very smart looking, and Sachin is there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Easy.
Rajshekhar is there. Sachin is there. Robin
Yes,
Joseph
Gundappa is there, sir. And
yeah. Okay. You please upload.
yes, sir. 1 second, sir. Yes, sir. Shared, sir.
Yeah, and now the tools of data collection and the questionnaire. Okay, we'll go for that. Tools of data collection. Okay, here, friends, I would like to tell you one thing is that the most of the social science research, either they will use the scales which are already existing. It means that the research scholars, the scholars across the globe, they have developed their tools. They developed in the sense that the tools are tested, the validity and reliability of application of those tools. That is the one thing. And the second thing is that most of the university, the students, particularly the rural universities, the students are using, preparing their own, the tool for data collection, keeping of their objectives. And as we discussed the research design and the hypothesis, basing on that, they are going to prepare their own questionnaires. And one thing before going to, yeah, okay, please go. And one thing I would like to, clarify here is that there should not be any confusion among the students or the scholars. Whether is there any difference between the questionnaire and the interview schedule? Because three types of tools what we are using. One is questionnaire. We are also using the interview schedule. We are using the interview guide. As you discussed, focus to discussion. Different kinds of things are there, here. But there should not be any confusion as far as the questionnaire is concerned. Is a questionnaire and interview schedules are nothing but same. It means that a set of questions which you are preparing, keeping view of the objectives and the methodology which you have adopted for your research study. So therefore, the list of questions you are preparing and printing it for the purpose of, the administering on the population where you wanted to conduct your research. This is one thing. And the second thing is that, to clarify the confusion among the, the students is that the questionnaire is, where the population is in a very large and the distance is more and the matter of finance, economy and time also. And where the population is, the educated, such kind of population, you are not able to go all across the industries or the communities or the institutions wherever you intended to do research in a larger scale. So what we are doing is that we can appeal to the respondents. You are sending those things by the mail, and thereby we are getting the data which are filled up by them by their own the handwriting. So this is what we are doing usually in a larger and wider scale research studies are there, and the matter of the economy and the time duration, everything keeping view of this, we are posting them and thereby they're responding to you. As far as the interview schedules are concerned, same questions, set of questions which you have prepared and printed it. Those questions you are applying, administering on the respondents. So the personally you are going to have an interview with them, and you are asking the questions, and thereby you are eliciting the information which is required for the purpose of your research. This is a very small difference. One should not be get confused about the question is different and the interview schedule is different, but both more or less same, and they are the questions printed keeping up your research object and the design, and only the method is different here. Friends, coming to the next part is that here use of existing scales, the use of existing standard scales means that, as I said earlier, it is tested tools, because what we say that in social work, while teaching the core methods of social work, particularly three primary methods of social work, and the tested body, because the whatever the casework, the theories which are developed, those theories are tested, and the tested and the theories are reliable and valid also to apply on the population, not only in one part of the world and everywhere, because therefore that what we call it as, it is a tested body of knowledge. So therefore here, use of existing standardized scales, are to be the reliable and the valid. Therefore, the most of the the scholars are encouraged to make use of this the standardized tools for your research study, and it is advantageous to use scales that have been used successfully to measure the constructs in previous studies. Because the constructs, what we discussed earlier yesterday, I don't want to repeat it again in the previous studies. Okay, next. Sorts of instruments, the standardized scales, earlier research studies, the various journals which are publishing, and reference books which are readily available in the libraries, are also these days available on the internet, and the internet search engines. So these are the source where you can get the standardized scales and to make use of your research as such. Okay, next one. Saravana. Here, reference books, preparing your own questionnaire, self-anchored scales, that is levels of measurement, format of questions or response, questions to be avoided, answers to be avoided, sequence of questions, because these are the things which are to be kept in mind by the researchers when you are going to frame your questionnaire on your own. The 5 important, the points: level of measurement, format of questions, questions to be avoided, and answers to be also avoided, and sequence of questions. These are the things are very much important while preparing your own questionnaire for your research study as such. Next part. And preparing in your own questionnaire, and each and every question must be related with the central theme, constructs, dimensions of the research topic, because there should not be any kind of the heterogeneity in the preparing the questions, because the topic and the objectives and the methodology which you have adopted and the sample which you have selected, those things one has to keep in mind, because there should be continuity and there should not be any kind of ambiguity in the writing the questions or preparing the questions for your research. In case you wish to measure perceptions or awareness of the people or the attitude of the people, you need to assess its reliability. So this is most important thing, because unless it is because it's a perception, awareness, attitude, it is very difficult to measure, because so you can meet the people and to collect the data and to analyze and to give some kind of the results out of whatever small research you have conducted, but how much that is reliable. I am saying this is that because the in case of physical science things are different, in case of social science things are different, because the perception, my perception, your perception, and somebody perception with a particular say for example tree, or a particular the animal being, or particular human being, and particular instrument may be different, and my awareness with regard to the COVID-19 may be different, and the people of the others are different, and the attitude of the particularly the population in the 21st century maybe. Why this is a thing? Because see, these are the things which are we can't be equated with like a physical science or the chemical science as such, because these things are vary from person to person. Therefore here, how much cautious you are to understand, to probe the the questions while interacting with your respondent concerned, because we can't get the 100% the what you can say, that the truth or the correctness in their the opinion, whatever they are going to respond to the scholars during their interaction with regard to their, the collection of the data for the purpose of the research. Therefore, here you need to assess its reliability, whether whatever kind of the response is being given by the respondent is how far it is reliable and how far it is. Well, these are the things one has to keep in mind on when you are going to prepare your questions for your research. Okay, next one.
Sir, we have 3 minutes, sir. Shall we?
3 minutes. You just go one
Yes,
more
sir.
slide. One more slide.
Okay, sir.
The questionnaire list of questions, researcher prepare sets of questions, standardized scales. These are the, different, the formalities, what you are expected to do as far as, the preparing the questionnaire. Next one, you please go. Your the format of questions, closed end, contingency questions, metric questions, or response, multiple choice, multiple response. So these things are, so I am going to explain you in the next session. Am I correct? Because time is very short. Sharwan?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, time is very short.
Yes, sir.
Because
Yes,
what
sir.
is
Tomorrow
closed,
on
what
11
is,
o'clock.
yeah, what is closed end, what is open end, what is contingency questions, what is metric question, what is multiple choice, what is multiple response. These things we'll discuss in the tomorrow sessions, I think so. And I would like to thank Dr. Saravana for having organized this, a meeting with the students on this particular, the topic on research methodology. I thank all the faculty members who have joined today's this online program, and I also thank all the students all across the state who have participated in this particular, the 1.5 hour session of your, the discussion on research method, particularly research design, sampling design, and the tools of, the data collection. And I thank also my own students and my faculty members who have joined for this program. I hope, and I'm not going to say that this is going to be a full length class, because, the the formal teaching in the classroom in a closed manner, and through this time-bound program with internet, and it is there is a difference there. So therefore, and at least we have made an attempt to at least to have an interaction on the whatever the experience we have on the particular subject which students are expected to study as part of their course and to do as part of their research to fulfill the academic program. So, so we have done a small exercise, and tomorrow we are going to have another the session, and we will discuss, and time permits we can also have the day, the discuss, because time is very short. The Sharola is telling is a 10-minute time is over, sir, 5 minutes only. So this is how it is there, but in the classroom it doesn't happen like that, and we have a lot of time to interact with the students, because there is a need to have an interaction with the the participants. That is most important, because one man the dictation is not going to be